Hello, my friends. Today is the 11th of September 2022. If we were in America, they would call it 9/11 2022, and that's what this video was all about. Most of you know me from my stance on COVID, but long before COVID came along, for the last 15, 20 years, I have been studying false flags. Yeah. So, to get you in the right frame of mind, watch this. This is a tin can. This is what happens when a tin can hits concrete. Watch this. Bring the camera down here, please.
Building like the South Tower was, as if it were thin air.
So you're saying you're suggesting that there's some kind of cartoon animation there. You're suggesting that the news media was a part of this.
Yes,
those pictures came from the news media.
Well, there was only one so-called real-time film.
Picture from our chop right now, arriving at the scene. Jim Friedel in Hoboken said it appeared to bank sharply and smash directly, perhaps purposefully, into, oh my goodness, there's another one. Oh my goodness, there's another one.
It seems to be on purpose.
Oh my goodness, now it's obvious, I think.
Wait a minute. Is something missing here? Seems that we weren't supposed to see that wide shot. And that's because there's no plane in it. The plane should be visible for over 5 seconds. That's 340 separate images. And there is no plane. The airplane image enters the picture within one video frame. The nose of the airplane appears to pop out the backside of the tower. It's physically impossible for the nose of a Boeing 767 airplane to emerge intact. It's hollow, made of plastic, and not designed to withstand any sort of collision.
Okay, follow me, please. Everything you're about to see in this video is what the government says, okay? I'm not making up any theories. I'm not putting forward my views. I'm just reiterating what the government has said in America. So what we had is we have a passenger plane flying through. By the way, before I go any further, this is my model of the Twin Towers. Obviously, it should be twice that height. If you look closely, bring the camera over to the spine. The spine of it is made of steel columns, okay? So, the official government theory is that the Twin Towers came down. Tower 1 and Tower 2 both came down caused by jet fuel weakening the metal structure. Now, pay attention. The fuel tanks on a passenger plane are held in the wings, okay? So if you can imagine the volume of aviation fuel in both those wings, what had to happen is those aluminium fuel tanks had to pass through concrete, hit the steel, the fuel melted the steel, but in that video you just seen, the aeroplane came through the concrete, it came through the steel, and it emerged on the other side of the concrete with the nose cone intact. Okay? When that video was put up, I remember watching, I remember that day, as if it was yesterday, I was at a friend's house and his wife called us in to say that, come in quick, there is a skyscraper has been hit in New York. We sat down and watched it, and a few minutes later, the second plane came in, and I seen the nose cone coming out through the other side. And immediately, the moment I saw that, I smelled a rat. I said, this is not impossible. This is not possible. I mean, I am a physics teacher as well as a biology teacher, but you don't have to know anything about physics. This is a video on common sense. So, let's reenact. So what I have here, my friends, I have a friend in Newton Ards who has contacts in Newton Ards airfield. I have got some jet fuel, and it's safe to say that the volume of jet fuel I'm about to use now, I think you would agree with me that the volume of jet fuel contained within those two wings, my pint Guinness glass would probably contain maybe 10 or 15 times that amount. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw this jet fuel onto an old incinerator I have here. Okay, I live in the Craigavon area, council area, and at the moment the bin men are on strike, and I have this little furnace set up to burn paper and biodegradable stuff that's accumulating, and I don't want rats and things about the house, so I'm burning this here. So I've just thrown jet fuel onto this. I'm now going to throw some jet fuel onto a little barbecue. Now, again, the amount of jet fuel I'm putting on the barbecue would be twice the amount of jet fuel in those wings. Didn't even light. Why was that? Because there's no flame. It's because there's no flame. Let's get a flame going to it. Okay. Now I want to see if jet fuel will melt the metal on top of that barbecue. So we'll let that sit there, and I will continue with my video. Okay, I'm sorry this is rushed. This is unrehearsed. All my videos are unrehearsed. I am a truth seeker. So the official government result was that aviation fuel from the jet caused the steel to melt and the building collapsed. A smoking gun is a terminology used for a bit of evidence that contradicts the narrative of the main narrative, okay? So the smoking gun in this case is the Building 7. Building 7 is a 47-story skyscraper next to the Twin Towers. 6 hours after the Twin Towers collapsed, Building 7 collapsed. The owner of Building 7, Larry Silverstein, was on record, and I remember him saying it live on TV, that they had to pull. His actual words were, the fire was so dangerous that we made the decision to pull the building. Okay, so that's a terminology used in demolition, and when you pull a building, you put explosives at different columns around it. That would take about 2 weeks to happen. So in 6.2 seconds, Building 7 came tumbling down in a controlled demolition. Now, somebody got on to Larry Silverstein and said, Larry, you shouldn't have said that. Why? Because when you said they had to pull it, that would have meant that we had to send a team of demolition guys in there. But how could they go in there? I mean, the public aren't stupid. The public knows there was flames in that building. And how could they go in, number one, and put demolition charges around it if it was burning? And number two, it would take about 2 weeks for the team to put explosives around to bring it down in a controlled demolition. So Larry Silverstein then got on TV and he says, people took me up wrong. What I meant was there were firefighters in Building 7 and we decided to pull them out. Another smoking gun for me is Satam Ali Suqami. This is one of the terrorists. Yep. And shortly after Twin Towers 2 came down, this is the official government narrative now. A 30-year-old man in a suit and tie discovered his passport intact at the bottom of Twin Towers 2. Now, if you can imagine, and you've seen the videos of the plane crashing in, the massive fireball explosion, everybody in that was incinerated, suitcases, luggage, the whole works was incinerated, yet your man's passport was intact. I will say no more. Bring the camera over here to our little barbecue. I don't see any of that steel melting. You, my friend? No. None of that has melted, and I had tons of aviation fuel on it. Never in the history of the world has a high-rise building been brought down with fire alone. For example, here is Grenfell Towers in 2007. Massive flames. The flames coming from that building were 10 times more than the flames coming from Building 7. Remember, Building 7 is the smoking gun. And here is the towers today. Did not fall down. So, how do the government get over Building 7? Easy. They don't talk about it. It's not discussed. They do not discuss Building 7 because they know that it is totally illogical for Building 7 to come down on fire alone. Yeah? Fire alone. And my goodness, once again, I have to go back to the Twin Towers and to say that the government narrative is that the fuel from the fuel tanks somehow the wings were able to go through the concrete, and the wings then hit the steel, and the fuel from the wings caused this part. Bring the camera over, please. This part of the steel to buckle and melt. But what about the rest of it? I've shown you here. I've shown you aviation fuel on a little barbecue. The steel, that is not even steel. That's just mild metal. Hasn't even warped. My friends, I don't know what to say. I am not a conspiracy. Oh, hey, one more thing. Yes. This is my incinerator. Now, I had that there. What I did with that, my friends, was to simulate office furniture, because that's what the government said. The jet fuel caused the metal to warp and melt, and the fire caused office furniture to burn, and it was responsible for melting the steel and disintegrating the concrete. And I was using 2 bags of sticks to simulate office furniture in my little fire. And I don't, there is a little metal can, still hot. Hasn't changed, hasn't warped. This metal wire has not warped. Isn't it coincidental that, where is he? Where is Larry? Where did I put Larry Silverstein? Larry Silverstein took breakfast every morning at the cafe on Twin Tower 2. That particular morning, he told all his staff and all his family not to come in, to take the day off. If I am called a conspiracy theorist because I doubt that an aluminium can could go through concrete, could go through steel, go back through concrete, and come out with a nose cone intact. If you call me a conspiracy theorist because a person's passport was found, a person who was on this plane that burst into a fireball, the passport was found below the crash site, then I am a conspiracy theorist, and I am proud to be called a conspiracy theorist. I look forward to your comments. By the way, I want you to watch the video on the link below this video. Yeah, thank you.